welcome back to episode 3 of Reading the Room with your host, Joyce Licorice. Today, I am here with an amazing author. Her name is Janice Holliman. How you doing today, Miss Holliman?
I'm doing fine. How about
Listen, I am so grateful that you're here with me today. I'm doing great.
Good. I'm glad to be here too.
And we have 2 guests, I think. We got an extra guest down there. He's
Yes,
kind
you
of
do.
taking a little nappy poo.
Mm-hmm.
So who is this?
This is Storm, my service dog.
Okay, we got Storm on the show, y'all. So it's 3 guests on the show today. So I'm really excited to be here. Reading the Room talk show likes to explore and discover new talent, new authors, and individuals who are breaking out into the publishing industry. Now, Miss Holliman is published through Authors Tranquility Press. Is that correct?
Correct.
Oh, wonderful. So you guys can get copies of her book through them or through Amazon. But we're going to jump right into today's show. Today's show is unique because Dream Empire Films and Publishing had the honor of adapting this book into a screenplay for a major motion picture. So I am very, very, very familiar with the story, right? And this story is called...
I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor. And the survivor that we're speaking of is sitting right here with me. So
True.
This is your life story, right?
Yes, it is.
And I know it took tremendous courage to put that pen to paper to tell your story.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what made that decision for you. What made you want to go ahead and write your story?
Well, the thing about it is I have so many illnesses, Joyce. And through the years, some of my doctors start telling me, Janice, you need to write a book because you have a story to tell that you could be able to help others that may be going through the same thing that you're going through.
Wow.
And they kept doing it for years. So then around about 2018, my gastrologist, he was the main one that stayed on me about writing it. And so basically he was saying, you know, I have 10 patients right now that have Crohn's disease. And out of the 10, you're the only one that have not turned into full-blown cancer yet. And the problem is with that, I've been worried through the years. Each time you have surgery, because you have had so many surgeries that I was afraid that it was going to turn into cancer.
Wow.
So, but he said, with everything you have gone through, you do have a story to tell.
And it's a tremendous story.
Yeah.
Tell the listeners, I mean, they don't know everything you've been through. I know you kind of jumped ahead with talking about that particular doctor. But the reason I found your story to be so remarkable is the number of triumphs that you've had over the number of illnesses that you had. So tell us briefly just kind of some of your medical history and some of the things, the miracles that you've overcome.
Well, Joyce, I put it like this. Sometimes it's just hard to think about with a lot of DNCs starting out, miscarriages. I have heart problems. Then I have, like I said earlier, Crohn's disease.
Crohn's disease.
Yes, and then toxic gut syndrome. And it's just so many different other things that going on, you know. And I want anyone that's reading it, to find out exactly how many and what I went through. But I will tell you this, that I've flatlined 3 times. See, your other guest is walking off.
He'll be back.
But anyway, I flatlined 3 times in one day in 2010. Then I was in the hospital doing that time for 15 days. But I'm not going to give away the story. But I wind up not having just one, but 14 blood clots at one time. And I don't supposed to be here today.
Right.
And
so that's just God all the way around. We just have to tell him thank you that you were able to be here to tell your tremendous story. The story where the thing that I found remarkable about all of this, and even in writing the movie script, the through line of your life is your faith.
Yes.
And in addition to the through line being your faith, it's your tremendous relationship with your husband and your son that carried you through.
Yes.
Now, we start the film script. I remember we start the film script out with your love story. So it's a love story, a beautiful love story. You're still married, still happily married. I had the blessing of meeting your husband the other day.
Yes.
And he had a beautiful smile on his face that you must have put there, honey.
Yeah. Matter of fact, he said he recognized you.
He remembered me. Really?
He said he saw you before.
Well, that's something else. So tell us about your love story and how your husband has stood by you through all of this.
Oh wow. Basically, my husband and I, we was friends for like 3 years because of his sisters. His sisters and I was like going back and forth. We like stayed 34 miles away from each other. And so like every other weekend, we would just basically would travel to see each other. And at my cousin's wedding, you want to sit? Sit down. At my cousin's wedding, he was in the wedding.
Okay.
And that's how we got to.
So you all connected by love of someone else. And our guest is cutting up over here. You know what I will say about Storm? Storm loves Miss Janice because Storm, everywhere Miss Janice goes, Storm is just a couple of steps behind. He had to go investigate. He probably heard a noise or something, but it's all good. He's back. So welcome back, Storm. Welcome back to the show. All right. So this love story is tremendous to me because through it all, he stood by your side.
Yes.
That's remarkable.
Right. And the thing about it is, it's like this. All through the years, we always was there for each other. Like when he's down, I was there. For some reason, it always been remarkable that I was able to pull myself up to be able to help him, and vice versa. So it's like going on 44 years.
Wow,
now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, you all had a little few bumps in the road. It wasn't all roses.
No.
Your husband, too, had some medical battles he had to overcome.
Still do.
And I remember in the book that he had a personality change there for a while due to some of his medical issues.
Still do.
You still do? But you guys are able to overcome that, and still, you guys survive together. And that is amazing. That is amazing. So tell me about the title. It kind of speaks for itself, but just talk a little bit about that.
Woo! Wow. Well, let's see the title of it. When I was writing the book, I really didn't think about the title until a publishing company asked me, well, what title? They always say to connect it to something with someone famous or something famous. And I was thinking about it, and wow, the light came on, and it was like, I love Reba McEntire. I love her show called Reba, and her song, opening song is "I'm a Survivor," and that is what made me
Reba. Okay,
Yes.
country music. So you
Yes.
got a little love for country music. Now I learned something new about Miss Holliman today. I had no idea that you were a country music fan, and I'm sure Reba would love to hear this story because
Yes.
it is an amazing, amazing story. Listen, now when you were writing this, is there anything you discovered about yourself during the writing process?
Yes.
Well, let's hear it.
Okay. Well, let's see. First of all, I didn't realize that I had a knack for writing. That's not me.
Right.
Okay, that's my husband's stuff. He's the writer and screenplay writer and all that kind of stuff. I didn't do that, but then I wrote it because after 2 accidents 20 days apart, I'm like, well, I guess it's time for me to write it now.
Exactly.
Okay, so I did, and by doing it, not only did I realize that I have a photographic memory and remember different things, because my book is unique, because I haven't seen a book yet that have basically a story, plus it have basically conversations between myself and other people verbatim from word to word. And so that was basically what happened. And I also used to wonder, what was my purpose? And as I was writing the book, I found my purpose.
Right.
Even though I was doing it already,
Right.
but then it like a light came on, and I realized that, wow, my purpose is to help other people.
By telling your story.
Yes.
And so by telling your story, someone else that's going through maybe one of the 50 or 60 different things that you've gone through can find some hope and to understand that there is something bigger than that moment, right?
True.
And I think keeping your faith throughout all of that, that's remarkable, because a lot of times people get upset with God when they go through things. They don't understand why he lets bad things happen to good people. And I know that your faith has answered that for you.
Yes, yes.
And I
the
think
thing
that's
about it,
beautiful.
You're right. You're so right about that, because I never asked, why me? Because I'm not anyone. I'm no better than anyone else. I always ask, what can I learn from this? And that is what I decided to do. Mm-hmm. And that's what and each time something happened to me, I learned something new. Mm-hmm. And each time I go through something, it just makes me stronger.
I love it. That is such a beautiful nugget. And I think that's a beautiful takeaway for anybody watching this, whatever you might be going through, to understand it's not about the woe is me, why is it me, but what can you gather from that and how can you inspire someone else with whatever it is that you're going through. So I absolutely love this book. Mm-hmm. I Am a Survivor, the story of Janice Holliman. It has a beautiful love story. It shows her medical history, her journey. She even has some photographs in there of her life. And it's just one of those stories that I think you'll gather strength from as you read, to understand that one person went through so much, and good thing God is so good to you that you don't look like what you've been through. Because you're sitting here glowing and gorgeous, honey. You look great. So I love it. I'm so happy that we were able to have you on the show today. And is there anything you would like to leave the watchers with today? We got, come, get over here. Come.
He's gone.
I'm trying to get him to come back in so we can close
gone.
the show. Come on back in here. Okay, he's not coming, y'all.
Okay.
We'll get the dog back in a minute. We're going to interview him next, so y'all stay on and keep watching that, all right? But if there's anything that we can take away, I think what you just said is pretty powerful, but if there's anything, the kind of resounding message you want to leave people with as they read your book, what would you say?
Well, first of all, the reason why I wrote it, and I am so glad that I wrote it, is because it gave me an insight of helping myself, not just only someone else. Because when I did decide to do the things that I did, because I realized I had to learn myself and able to survive. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole thing about it. We cannot walk around and not knowing our body, not knowing our inner self, because it really make you really think about, I need to learn myself and learn what's going on the inside and listen to that.
Exactly.
And basically not let other people tell you that you are wrong or that you are crazy,
right,
and everything. Because
I remember you had a story like that with the doctor, like,
yes,
well, you needed a second or third opinion. He said the doctor told you, don't let anybody tell you what's wrong with you.
You're right. Exactly.
Know your body.
Exactly. Because matter of fact, that doctor, he told me that because he said, look at me. I'm here in this wheelchair. Mm-hmm. So I know the perspective from a doctor's side and as a patient's side. Mm-hmm. And he said, do not let anyone tell you what is and what ain't wrong with you.
Right.
Those are the very words he said.
Exactly.
And he said, always remember that.
Right.
And from that day on, I took that in. Okay. And I decided to use that. And believe it or not, me and doctors, we have confrontations all the time. To one of them had to say, Miss Holliman, let's agree to disagree.
Okay. And I was in this with this one funny story I remember in the book. There was a nurse. I can't remember what you were dealing with because there was so many different things, but the nurse was trying to prescribe you some medication that you were allergic to. Tell us about that story. That was funny.
Well, the thing about that story is basically I was up at my gastrologist's office, matter of fact, because they was trying to find something to give me to be able to help me with my Crohn's. And I'm allergic to so many different medications. And so what happened was that they gave me the medicine and I started having an allergic reaction to it. So the office was like upstairs above the hospital. So they like rushed me down to the emergency room and so forth. And my husband knows that I'm allergic to anything, what was it? Penicillin and all that kind of stuff.
A lot of the different antibiotics.
Antibiotics and whatever. Steroids. That's why I think that's what she wanted.
It was the steroids. That's what it was.
Yes.
And you told her that you were allergic to it, not to give it to her and get something else. And she came in and told you the doctor ordered it anyway and gave it to you anyway.
And then, with that one, I was sitting over there, and when it happened, I'm like, I couldn't breathe. I was like, at the same time, and I'm like, I looked back behind me because she was behind me, and she saw me, and she rushed over, like, pulled it out real fast, and said, Miss Holliman, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The doctor told me to give it to you anyway. I said, I told you. I told you not to give it to me,
Mm.
but you all just don't listen.
Right.
When somebody tell you not to give them something,
Then
please
you know.
listen.
Right. Now that was something else, I tell you. And I think the lesson learned from that is know your body. And one of the other things that you said you had to do was make a lifestyle change. So you changed your diet, your exercise, you changed all of that just to have better health. And how did that pan out for you? Looks like it worked out and kind of changed things in your favor.
Yeah, it did, but really and truly, I was like 200 pounds more than I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And that because I wind up being sick.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because I'm like, I called my surgeon, not no one else. I'm like, you got to do something. I said, because the thing is, can you sit down, please? Oh, you found someone now.
The dog is ready to show y'all. The dog is running the show
He
today.
really is. But the thing is with that was that I don't forgot what I was saying.
And we were talking about how you change your diet.
Okay, yeah.
So that
okay,
you
now
could,
I know where I am.
Improve
so
your health.
right. So when I went into the doctor's office that day, I told him, I said, if you don't do something, I'm not gonna be here. And so he decided, and he had to do exploratory surgery, and he goes in like, I see corn. I'm like, corn? That's 6 weeks ago. He said, I see some collard green. I'm like, that was 8 weeks ago. And he like, okay, your food is not dumping. It's just sitting in your stomach and it's poisoning your system. And he said, what I'm going to have to do is basically I'm going to have to bypass that area. And so it's no cure for it now, but give you a chance. It's basically, it's like a gastro bypass. And so basically that's what happened, was that I had the gastro bypass for that particular reason, to bypass that area. And so, because weight wasn't my thing by losing weight on that, it was about saving myself, because I couldn't even take 3 steps without having to stop and lean up against the wall.
Wow.
Because I couldn't breathe.
And I've seen you come up 2 flights of stairs, honey.
Yes.
So you are doing so well.
Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, she is a survivor, Miss Janice Holliman. I'm so glad that you graced us with your presence today on the Reading the Room show. Reading the Room show is brought to you by Dream Empire Films, Dream Empire Casting, and Dream Empire Publishing. And we are so happy to have the honor of also voicing your audiobook. So Dream Empire Publishing did the audiobook version of I Am a Survivor, which will be available in December on Amazon. In addition to the audiobook, people can also grab the paperback and hardback on Amazon and Authors Tranquility Press's website, correct?
Well, yes. Actually, you can also go to my website, JaniceEHolliman.com. JaniceEHolliman.com.
And to wrap the show up, Miss Janice has another event coming up. She has a virtual book tour stop where you can check out a little bit more information about her book. You can text her at 404-246-4366 for additional information and to RSVP for her next virtual book tour stop, which will be held on December the 3rd at 5 o'clock p.m. Thanks again for appearing on the show. And we're going to wrap this thing up, you guys. Thanks for tuning in to Reading the Room. Your host, Joyce Licorice. And make sure you come back and see us for our next amazing spotlight on another up-and-coming author.